I welcome you here and thank you for being here today as we mourn the death of Charlie Cook and celebrate his life. If we are lucky, we will all get a chance during our life to know people who make us feel better just for having known them. And we will recognize this goodness and try to pass it along to others. But one thing is certain, no one, not one of us, entering this world can escape the cost of living. The price we pay is this. To live in this world, we must accept that someday we will have to die. To love what is alive, we must accept having to lose what we've made precious through our care. To be fully and fiercely human, we must accept having to be breakable and sometimes broken. When we stop to notice how the life of another gave us a path and a little light to see by, it helps encourage us to carry that light forward. Though each of us carries forth in this world a small flame, we know that the ability of that light to brighten the world depends upon the many others who learn to walk with it in their hearts. I light our flaming chalice, a symbol of our religious tradition, with these words. For this hour, as we remember and celebrate the great light that Charlie Cook brought into this world, may this flame remind us of that radiance and the ways in which it made our own lives grow brighter. Charlie had a fondness for New Orleans street music. So in his honor, our own Doug Reichenfeld has put together a brass quartet today to honor Charlie by playing some of this music, beginning now with Down by the Riverside. I'd like to start with some biographical facts about Charlie that Pam put together for this service, for which I'm grateful. Charlie was born in New York in 1937, but grew up in Fox Point, a suburb of Milwaukee. He graduated from the University of Wisconsin with a degree in metallurgical engineering and moved to Ohio, where he worked at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton. He became very active in a young adult program at the Westminster Presbyterian Church in Dayton, where he met Pam Johnson, a school teacher who in 1967 became Charlie's wife. In 1968, the couple moved to Pittsburgh, where Charlie worked for the Westinghouse Electric Corporation for many years. Charlie and Pam welcomed the arrival of son David Charles in 1974 and daughter Catherine Amanda in 1977. In 1990, the family moved to the South Hills of Pittsburgh, where they learned about and eventually joined this congregation. Charlie jumped right into working as Sunny Hill's treasurer for a number of years and was designated treasurer emeritus when he stepped down to become an all-round caretaker and handyman at Sunny Hill. Charlie, as former Sunny Hill treasurer, would be thrilled if those attending today would consider making a donation to the Sunny Hill Capital Campaign. That was Pam's sales pitch, by the way, and not mine. After Westinghouse shut down its operations here in 1995, Charlie worked at Pittsburgh Tube Company, from which he officially retired in 2001. It was at this time that Charlie and Pam discovered the Cycle Paths Bike Club, which became a major source of friendships, exercise, and travel for many years. Charlie celebrated his 70th birthday in 2007 with a surprise party put on by Pam, Katie, and David. It was attended by people from both Sunny Hill and from the Bike Club, and photos of this event can, I believe, be found on the table out in the fellowship hall. Pam says that Katie made a special trip from Washington, D.C. for this event. She traveled by Greyhound bus and ended up with a driver who somehow managed to get lost on his way into Pittsburgh. Katie called her dad on her cell phone, and he directed the bus driver by phone. Once at the Pittsburgh station, Katie had to get off the bus and direct traffic so the bus driver could back up and maneuver the bus into the station. What an adventure. Charlie and Pam enjoyed many happy memories of travel with Pam's sister Terry and her family, and Charlie's high school friend Pete. Charlie died with complications from COVID-19 and pneumonia at St. Clair Hospital on August 25th at the age of 86. I'd also like to share with you some thoughts from Katie about her dad. She says, Charlie was not a polite laugher. He was a full body from head to toe laugher. His head would bend forward, his arms in the air and legs up in the air. Charlie knew what funny was and enjoyed it with his whole soul. Charlie could Excel spreadsheet an event like no one else. No detail was left to chance. No minute was unaccounted for. Planning was the name of the game, and he often quipped, "Plan ahead, you might need one." I actually heard him say that same thing on several occasions here at church. Katie continues, Charlie was a no-nonsense progressive, and he didn't tolerate intolerance, especially from those closest to him. And this was far before Black Lives Matter and the notion of LGBTQ+ rights were mainstream. When I, his daughter, was a teenager, I relayed a homophobic comment about a schoolmate of mine. "Maybe he's gay, I said, to which my father responded angrily and with nostrils flared, "And so what if he is?" That stayed with me, Katie says, and I have never forgotten it. My dad also was an unabashed feminist. He once articulated a concise and compelling argument for reproductive freedom, expressing his compassion for and solidarity with women and the vital need for their ability to have bodily autonomy. He was always encouraging to me, Katie says. As a teenager, when I was feeling down about myself and my abilities and my ADD brain, I said, "God, I wish I had another brain." To which he responded, "Maybe you wouldn't like the one you get." Good point, I thought. Better stick with what I have. Thank you, Katie, for sharing those memories with us. My own experience of Charlie Cook might be summed up as follows. Charlie was one of those people that you love to have as a member of a church if you are a minister like me. I wish we could have cloned Charlie because we could use a few more of him around here. Charlie loved this church, and he put his abilities to good use on behalf of this congregation time and time again. In a few minutes, Sunny Hill member John Armstrong will speak in greater detail about some of the ways in which Charlie helped out here. But I will attest to the fact that he was always looking for ways to be of use and was genuinely helpful in many ways. Charlie loved this church, he loved his family, and he loved laughter and living. His spreadsheets, which Katie alluded to in her comments, were beautiful things. His engineer's mind was constantly working, puzzling through various problems and possible solutions all the time. When he set himself to a task, he was absolutely dogged in pursuit of completing that task and doing so in a logical and orderly manner. I will tell you that very few things in a church happen in a logical and orderly manner. But the things that Charlie did were an exception to that rule. He was one of the most generous and thoughtful people that I have known here. Back in August, I celebrated 10 years of having served as minister of this congregation. As part of that celebration, members were encouraged to send cards to me with personal notes of appreciation. Charlie was in the hospital at the time, but he still sent an e-card to me. And this was just one day before he died. That kind of thoughtfulness, that kind of kindness is, in my experience, very rare and truly special. The first event that we held here in this sanctuary after its construction was complete in 2017 was Pam and Charlie's 50th wedding anniversary celebration. It was a wonderful occasion and a fitting way to break in this beautiful new space. 7 years later, Charlie planned a 57th wedding anniversary celebration while he was in the hospital, complete with his trademark spreadsheets and careful notes. We miss Charlie so much here, but his presence is still strongly felt and will be for a long time to come. I hope and pray that each of us might be inspired by Charlie's example and learn to approach life with even just a little bit of his good-natured humor, his absolute loyalty and dedication to the people and the institutions that he loved, his joy for life, and his careful, caring approach to everything he did. May it be so. Amen. The hymn we're about to sing, Let It Be a Dance, was written by UU troubadour Rick Maston. It's a piece that expresses the same sentiment found in the book of Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. But it does so with an infectiously joyful tango beat. We sang this same piece at Pam and Charlie's 50th anniversary celebration. So please rise in body and or spirit and join in singing, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time to joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Thank you. Please be seated.
At this time, we're going to open the mic up to anyone here who would like to share a brief remembrance of Charlie, if there are those who would like to do so. I am going to start by asking John Armstrong to come forward to speak, as I know he's prepared something to say.
Just for the record, I've never ever seen Charlie in bib overalls. Over the years, I've been involved with many work parties set up and led by Charlie Cook. But I didn't really get to know him until 2016, when we began our new building project. Denny McCracken was looking for a volunteer to be in charge of the logistics of moving and storing everything in the soon-to-be demolished North Wing. And Charlie and I both volunteered. It was a match made in UU heaven. Charlie was a detail-oriented research scientist, and I am, in scientific terms, anal retentive. Together, we made lists of all the items to be moved, measured them, determined the space they would require, decided where they should go, and calculated the best route to storage. We made plans, revised those plans, and revised them again. We made lists, and still more lists and more plans. Then, we recruited the best people we could to lead the teams that would do all the moving. Thanks to Charlie, the team leaders, and the teams, AKA the entire congregation, the move went flawlessly. In the process, we created an office for the staff in the dining room and one for Jim in the youth room. After the move and the demolition, Charlie and I became members of the Construction Oversight Committee with Peg Hart and others. Our team approved all change orders and oversaw the spending of the $250,000 contingency fund. Charlie's analytical skills and commitment to being a good steward of the congregation's investment were vital to our overall success. Although as you heard, Charlie wore many hats at Sunny Hill, he is most remembered for taking care of our building and grounds. There was a time when Charlie was the entire facilities team. If it needed to be done, Charlie would do it. After a couple of falls on our icy parking lot, and when he could no longer do the physical labor, Ed Tomlinson and I took over as co-managers of facilities, and Charlie became manager emeritus, chief organizer, and contract negotiator. Today, it takes about a dozen of us to do all the work he did. Charlie's passing has left a huge hole in the team and in the hearts of his teammates. If Sunny Hill gave Lifetime Achievement Awards for service to the congregation, Charlie would be a deserving recipient. For several years now, on the first Tuesday of each month, in a tradition started by Michael Hennessy, the facilities team has gathered for food, fun, and to swap tall tales, usually at the saloon in uptown Mount Lebanon. Charlie rarely missed. You would know he was there by his laughter. One of Charlie's favorite tales was how he lost control of the old Gravely tractor he used to mow the lawn and jumped off just in time as it careened down the hill and crashed into a tree. He always told that story with a smile and a laugh. Although this story violates the rule that what happens at the saloon stays at the saloon, I have to tell it. Charlie was predictable. He would arrive at the saloon, sit down at the table, and order a Blue Moon beer with a slice of orange. When it arrived, he would quaff it like a man in the desert, eat the orange, and immediately order a second. He would take a little more time enjoying the second beer. When that was finished, he would order a third Blue Moon and nurse it until the end of the evening. I think we all enjoyed those beers vicariously as much as Charlie did by drinking them. And when we kidded him about it, which we did quite a bit, he got as big a laugh as we did. Charlie was also the lone Air Force member of the Sunny Hill Veterans Day Lunch Group, an event where we could talk about our military experience with people who understood. The last 3 weeks of Charlie's life were spent in St. Clair Hospital, where I visited him regularly and brought him good coffee and some kind of a sweet, a donut, a cinnamon roll, or a piece of cake. Charlie loved the coffee I brought because the coffee on his hospital tray was thickened to aid in swallowing, and it tasted terrible. He'd drink the coffee I brought while I was there, but he never ate the treat. I could see him eyeing it occasionally as we chatted, but he never touched it. But on my way out the door, I could hear the telltale sound of crinkling of the wrapper as he finally gave in to temptation. Charlie loved a gooey donut or a sticky cinnamon roll. What I found so amazing about Charlie is that in all the times I visited him, he never, ever complained. Okay, maybe once about his noisy roommate before he got his own room. Charlie was always upbeat and optimistic about going home, even when he was moved from the IMC to the ICU and then back to the IMC. Since his death, I have learned more about Charlie and his family and how much he kept his personal pain and concerns to himself. And I hope that being part of our facilities group gave him some relief from those cares. Speaking on the behalf of his facilities teammates who loved him, we miss Charlie, and we will continue to miss him, not just for everything he did at Sunny Hill, but more than that. We will miss Charlie for just being Charlie, for his camaraderie, his sound advice, his wit and humor, his friendship, and his infectious laugh. Oh, one more thing, and I know Charlie would approve. We still need members for our snow shoveling team. Thank you.
I understand that Charlie's granddaughter is here, would like to say a few words. Come on up.
So at first I didn't really know who Charlie really was. So, kind of was like, well, who is Charlie? That I didn't really know who he was until my dad told me who he was. But now that I know, I feel a little bit sad that he passed away. And what was I gonna say? That he was a good person. I don't know what else to say.
Are there others that would like to share a memory? Will?
Hi, my name's Will. I'm the Saturday snow shoveler here, under Charlie's command. Every year we shovel snow, and I'm gonna tell him, I think we did a great job this year. I think we're gonna have excellent performance reviews, and I bet we get a big raise this year. And Charlie would laugh exactly the way as described earlier and say, well, 0% of 0 is still 0. I'd see Charlie here on Sunday, and I'd always ask him, hey, Charlie, what's going on? And he would always have the same answer. He'd look me in the eyes and he'd say, well, there's a lot going on, and I don't know any of it. My wife and I love to play tournament Texas Hold'em poker. And Charlie was always a ubiquitous figure at our poker table. And we even have an annual auction event that we auction off on our fundraiser. We've been doing it for 12 years, and Charlie would come to those as well. And as part of that event, I'd often teach people new to poker, the basic strategies to get around in a tournament poker game. And one of those strategies is to fold, fold, fold. You don't want to become invested in a losing hand because it just gets harder and harder to let go. Well, Charlie often made me look like a fool because Charlie never met a poker hand that he did not like. You might say he saw the worth and dignity of every poker hand. But that's okay. We love having Charlie at our table, and we'll miss having him there. And we'll miss him. He loves our cats. I have this indelible memory of one of those poker games, and our cat Lucy jumped up and sat in one of the seats. And there were a few poker chips in front of her, and she looked like, "Sorry I'm late, deal me in." Charlie got the biggest kick out of that. He was taking photos, and Francisco took some photos. He even asked for it. He's like, "Send me your photos, too." He was a good guy, a lover of animals, and we'll miss him.
Others who'd like to share a story or remembrance? Yes, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Smith. Charlie was my best friend growing up, and I hope the feeling was mutual. I'd like to share a few of these early years with you and that I witnessed and I really miss. It was mentioned that he lived in Fox Point, and that was where we met. I was in 7th grade, he was in 7th grade. We were both attending grade school in Fox Point. A real nice little community north of Milwaukee on the shores of Lake Michigan. With a 15-minute ride from Charlie's house on our bikes, we could be on the sandy beaches of Lake Michigan. Those were really good times. When it came time to move into high school, we didn't have a high school in Fox Point. And the neighboring community, Whitefish Bay, had a high school, but they were fully booked. So we were bused about 10 miles down the road, closer to Milwaukee, to Shorewood, where we attended 4 years of high school. And Charlie and I rode that bus together, and every day mostly, until we got our licenses, and then we drove once in a while. There were 4 of us that hung out together, called the Cruddy Buddies. You probably saw the slide. We became very fast friends. We spent a lot of time together, but because the school was a little bit too far to socialize there, so we kind of hung out in the area. It was a good time. When we came to go to college, Charlie and I both selected a little school called Michigan Tech, up in the northern peninsula of Michigan, actually on the Keweenaw Peninsula in the town of Houghton. It sticks up in Lake Superior. It has very cold winters. It boasts 300 inches of snow every winter, and we got it, plus. It was there that Charlie and I learned to ski. In fact, we took skiing as a PT credit, so we got 6 credit hours with skiing 1 and skiing 2 over a period of the year, that winter. Those were very enjoyable times. He was pursuing, as was mentioned, a degree in metallurgical engineering. I was in geological engineering. We both joined the ROTC, Air Force ROTC, and shared a dorm room, shared a lot of good times. In fact, that year, Michigan Tech was in the playoffs for hockey, which was the only big sport that the college had. And we went out to Colorado Springs for the playoffs. Charlie was a baritone player, I think. That we decided that was the instrument. I get confused between the tuba, the baritone, and the sousaphone. But anyway, he was in the pep band up there in Michigan Tech. When we were going out to the out to Colorado Springs for the playoffs at the Broadmoor Hotel, the college arranged for a 7-car train to go down to Chicago from Houghton, and then we changed trains and went out on a longer train, but we still had the 7 cars out to Colorado Springs. And I'll never forget it. The pep band paraded through the entire length of the train about 5 times a day as on our way out there. Well, in 1959, we graduated. Oh, I should say that Charlie left Michigan Tech for his sophomore, junior, and senior years and went to the University of Wisconsin, where he got his degree. So in 1959, we both finished our respective universities and graduated. We also got a commission in the Air Force as second lieutenants. And lo and behold, as luck would have it, we both went to Wright-Patterson as our first assignment, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. And we had some really good times. He got there a couple of months before I did, and he teamed up with some other young second lieutenants into a house of bachelors. I arrived about 2 months later and got together with another group of bachelors in another house, and we started living the life of a bachelor and enjoying ourselves on a paltry salary of $222 a month. That was all the second lieutenant made, plus a very small housing allowance, which I think was about $30 or something like that. So our lifestyle was hindered a little bit in that respect, but hindered even more by the fact that we both fancied sport cars. So we each bought a used English sports car, and we're supporting that at the same time. He had an Austin Healey 3000, and I had a TR3, Triumph TR3. And we joined the Miami Valley Touring Club. Maybe it was a Miami Valley Sports Car Club, I don't recall. But almost every weekend for the next year and a half, during the summers and the falls and the spring, we would go on, compete in road rallies. First in his car, then in my car. We'd alternate weekends. We'd alternate driving and navigating. And we had some really good times and learned all the back roads in Ohio. Many a good time was spent. We didn't see a lot of each other as I was shipped off to Korea after that year and a half. He stayed at Wright-Pat. And so our career paths kind of separated, and we'd just occasionally see each other whenever we could get together, which wasn't that frequent. But about 30 years later, after we both retired, our families got together again, and we really enjoyed some good times traveling, once to Europe, biking, a lot of biking, and other activities we had. It was kind of enjoyable. As a matter of fact, it was quite a shock when I learned of his death, because just weeks before, I was talking to him about getting together, the two families, or Kathy and I and Pam and Chuck, as I was going to be in town for a convention. And I learned that he was in the hospital at the time, and I questioned this. He said, "Oh, I'm going to be all right, no problem." And he was very upbeat, very positive. So it was quite a shock when I learned that he had passed away. Charlie was the real thing, no pretensions. Charlie was just a regular guy. And we have some very fond memories. I miss him, but those great memories will live forever. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other memories or stories folks would like to share? Jim?
Yeah, I've only been at Sunny Hill since 2015. And fortunately, I was able to be involved with the building of the sanctuary, and that's how I got involved with the facilities team. And of course, if you're involved with the facilities team, you know Charlie. And my 80th birthday came, and so I said, I'll invite the facilities team. We'll have a big place, lots of fun. And so Charlie and Pam came, along with all the other guys and a few other friends that happened to drop in. And the Charlie brought a gift. And I, opening gifts, and he said, "This one came to me, so it's going to you." So it was a T-shirt. And the T-shirt said, "It took me 80 years to look this good." That's Charlie. I gave it to a friend that introduced me to my wife when he turned 80. So we're passing Charlie along. Thank you.
We'll have more opportunities to share stories and memories of Charlie in a little while when we have our reception right after the end of the service. But for now, we're going to move along into a candle lighting ritual. As our brass ensemble plays some music, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle in honor of the great light that Charlie brought into this world. Just come up, light a candle, place it in the sand, and return to your seat as you feel moved to do so. Thanks again to all of you who are here today. It's been a great privilege for me to be here with you during this time of remembering a wonderful person whose life touched other lives so deeply. I hope you'll join us in just a moment for refreshments and a time of sharing memories as we also share some refreshments in the fellowship hall. Now, in honor of Charlie's military service, we'll listen to the playing of taps. We'll close for now with these words. Let us honor the life of Charlie Cook by living ourselves more nobly and lovingly in the days ahead. As you return to the routines of your lives, go in peace, and may an abiding peace go with you. We're going to end with a little bit of a bang here as our band plays When the Saints Go Marching In, and I hope you'll join us afterward in the fellowship hall. Thank you.